Yenni thrust the shovel toward her, voice shaking. Back off. Stay away. I said stop. The girl just smiled. Don't you get it? You've been chosen. Every dig, every touch, every glance at my remains. You didn't just see the truth. You crossed the line. Between life and death. You're bound to the ritual now. Yenni clawed for a logical escape. No. I still have a chance. There has to be a way to break it. I won't be a puppet. I'm the one with the shovel. I'm armed, I can take control. The fear choking her twisted into a strange resolve. She lifted her head, eyes flashing with determination. If you need a sacrifice, I won't go down easy like the others. The girl laughed, a tinkling sound, echoing as if from multiple voices, laced with mockery and a hint of sorrow. Hold on to that faith. Cling to the illusion of control. That's what keeps the ritual alive. The more you think you can escape, the deeper you sink. The forest wind died. Silence fell. Only Yenni's pounding heart remained. She looked down. The earth had swallowed her to her calves. The flashlight flickered, casting the girl's face in shifting shadows, half human, half spectre. Yenni screamed one final time, swinging the shovel down onto the skeleton in the pit. It snapped in two. A silent explosion boomed in her head, and the entire forest ignited in crimson light, like blood surging from the ground. She collapsed, hands smeared with mud and blood. In Yenni's eyes, the bones in the hole slid into shadow, dissolving. But on her skin, a faint mark appeared, an eye, identical to the one on the bones. Yenni panted, staring at the pulsing symbol on her arm. Her heart raced. No retreat. But I won't submit. I'll take the reins. It has to be me. She forced a twisted smile, trembling yet fierce. Fine. If this ritual needs a replacement, I'll be the one to shatter it. I won't become prey. From afar, the girl burst into laughter. It echoed like metal scraping against metal, lingering in the dim moonlight. Yenni shuddered, but her eyes no longer held just fear, they burned with resolve. It was the gaze of someone bound tight, yet vowing to fight, to break free, even with her dying breath. Space tore open like a ripped veil. Yenni felt her body yanked away, as if the world around her had lost all gravity, her chest compressing like it might burst. Everything spun in a dizzying whirl. A thick, viscous air wrapped around her. Yenni opened her eyes and realized she wasn't in the same place anymore. Before her stretched a grand hall aglow with candles. Towering candelabras as tall as people dripped rivers of red wax, congealing into streaks like clotted blood pooling on the cracked tile floor. A scent slammed into her nostrils. Not the sweet bloom of flowers or melting wax, but the acrid tang of rust and iron. Mixed in was something cloyingly sweet, musty, like aged wine blended with rotting flesh. Yenni tried to back away, but oddly she felt no legs, the ones she'd always taken pride in. She glanced down quickly, and there she was, a ghost. A spectral form adrift in the stream of memories. Music swelled suddenly, yanking her mind back. The scene had transformed into opulent splendor, gold and jewel-encrusted decorations everywhere, lavish dishes and exotic fruits. It started with restrained piano notes, heavy and brooding, then violins wailed in, twisting like sobs. A warped waltz, slow and deliberate. The grand doors swung open. Guests streamed in, men in high-collared velvet suits and tailcoats, women in floor-sweeping ball gowns adorned with jewels on wrists and necks. Their footsteps echoed through the hall like nails scraping wood. The whole scene screamed. What should have been elegant revelry now ripped open, exposing the grotesque underbelly. Each held a slender crystal goblet, swirling with a dark red liquid. One glance, and Yenni knew, that wasn't wine. As they drew closer, the metallic stench intensified, gnawing at her chest. A middle-aged man raised his glass, his voice booming through the hall, to the immortality of the Mason family. The crowd responded in unison, a spectral chorus, to the eternity of the Mason family. To the prosperity of the Mason family. Glasses clinked in a roar, liquid sloshing over rims and splattering the carpet. Crimson stains bloomed on the fabric like a garden of blood flowers. Some tilted their heads back, gulping it down. It spilled from their lips, trickling down chins, but no one winced or wiped it away. Their faces stayed beaming, ecstatic, as if savoring the finest vintage. Up close, Yenni saw it for what it was. Blood. She wanted to retch. She raised a hand to cover her mouth, but it passed right through her face. She'd forgotten. She was just a ghost now. In that moment, Yenni truly regretted everything. If she hadn't been so curious, hadn't chased that cursed treasure, she'd be safe in her mother's warm embrace, sharing joy with her dad. In that wave of regret, a fleeting image crossed her mind, an old necklace her grandmother wore, etched with an eye symbol just like the mark on her arm. Why does this feel so familiar? She wondered, but the memory drowned in the horror before her. The music halted. Footsteps clacked on the floor. A young man stepped forward, tall, gaunt, black hair falling over his forehead, eyes deep and obsidian. One look, and Yenni knew. The first Mason. Portraits of him hung everywhere in the mansion, exalting his greatness. He placed a thick, black leather-bound book on the long table draped in white cloth, stained red, as if soaked in blood dozens, hundreds of times. Utterly revolting. Mason opened the book. The characters writhed like living things. They twisted like serpents, emitting a cold blue-violet glow and a screeching wail. Covenant. False pact. Wish. Desire. His voice rang out. From blood comes blood. From sacrifice opens the path to eternity. Two burly men dragged a young girl from a side room. Her mouth was gagged with cloth, eyes wide with raw panic. Her white dress was soiled, crusted with dried mud. Yenni froze. The girl. She looked eerily like her. Long black hair, pale face, pleading eyes full of helplessness. The first Mason placed his cold hand on her shoulder, his tone calm as a blessing. My illegitimate child, you've been chosen as an offering to the gods, so the Masons may never fade. Consider yourself lucky, after all, you're only fit to be the sacrifice that keeps us shining forever. He drew a long, gleaming silver dagger, slicing her wrist. Blood sprayed in a stream, filling a silver chalice. The crowd applauded, cheering like it was a grand spectacle. Mason lifted the chalice to his lips. This is the beginning. This is eternity. O Divine One, grant me leave to drink. With that, he downed the blood from the chalice. The crowd below bowed their heads, then drained their own goblets in turn. Yenni's heart exploded in her chest. She screamed, "Stop! Stop it all!" Of course, no one heard. Her voice swallowed by the past's torrent. The scene blurred. Suddenly, Yenni stood right by that foul table. Her hand gripped the silver chalice. Thick red blood, still warm, its stench overwhelming. It was driving her mad. She trembled, trying to drop it, but her hand wouldn't obey. It raised the chalice to her lips, as if refusing meant no mercy. In her panic, her hand tipped it fully into her mouth. One gulp, and the burning scorched her throat. Yenni shrieked, but the chalice was empty. Blood lingered on her lips, the salty iron biting her tongue. She heaved, desperate to vomit, but nothing came. The visions flashed by in a nauseating blur. Later Masons at the table, chins smeared with blood, eyes wild as beasts. Children offered up, wailing, then silenced by the merciless blade. The garden filling with stone statues, each face contorted, eyes frozen in final despair. The blood feast repeating, endless. In all those memory shards, Yenni saw herself. Her hands turning the book's pages. Her lips murmuring the evil incantations. Her eyes cold as ice, devoid of any warmth. No, it can't be. Yenni whispered. A chill breath grazed her ear. Yenni stiffened. The first Mason's voice whispered, inviting. You're one of us, Yenni. Blood never betrays blood. The soul never strays. It returns to the Masons, rebuilds the Masons. Do you hear me, Yenni? He stood right behind her, his obsidian eyes like pits of death. It's time to choose, little Yenni. Embrace your blood, the glorious Mason lineage, or let it consume you forever. Yenni trembled, shaking her head wildly. I'm not a Mason. I'm not. Get away. I've never been a Mason. But deep in her heart, another voice whispered, you are the final link born to complete this curse. That voice stirred a distant memory, her mother murmuring about that distant bloodline she refused to name, and the faint eye-shaped scar on her wrist. Yenni shook her head, trying to shake it off, but it clung to her mind like a shadow. Space cracked open. The grand hall, the candlelight, the cheers. It all shattered like broken glass. Yenni tumbled back, chest heaving, gasping for air. She was in the old place again, face pale as death, but the taste of thick red blood lingered on her lips. Hot, metallic, sweet. She clutched her chest, eyes wide in panic, scanning the darkness. In the thick gloom, the garden statues stared at her. Their eyes bulged, as if questioning, are you the heir, or the sacrifice? The air hung heavy as ash. Yenni stood amid the statues, her chest tightening with dread. She could still taste the blood on her lips, salty and sharp. The memories, the experiences, they battered at her last defenses. It wasn't real. Just an illusion. Just an illusion, she told herself, but her heart thundered like it might leap from her ribs. The moon hid behind layers of clouds, bathing the garden in an eerie purple glow, as if the world had slipped off its axis. From behind, that familiar voice rang out. You've seen it, haven't you? The Masons never vanished. They're still here, in your very blood. Yenni whipped around. The crippled girl with her gaunt shadow and icy eyes sat there, fragile body but gaze sharp as a blade to the throat. Shut up! Yenni roared, her trembling hand yanking out the small knife she carried for protection. The steel glinted in the moonlight, her palms slick with sweat. You can't fight the blood running through your veins, the girl said with a soft, chilling smile. I'm just the sacrifice. But you're the continuation of that demonic line. Yenni stepped forward, knife shaking in her grip. If I kill you, does it all end? The girl tilted her head, eyes indifferent. Try it. Go ahead. Yenni screamed, thrusting the knife straight in. The blade pierced the girl's frail shoulder, then pulled free like slicing through air. No blood. No cry of pain. Just dry, cracking echoes rippling through the bizarre garden. Yenni froze. Around her, the stone statues began to fracture. The splintering sounds built like a storm. Stone eyes glowed faintly, crimson streaks oozing from cracks like congealed blood. The nearest statue twitched, stone fingers snapping their own shell to wriggle free. A contorted face cracked open, cracked lips parting with a hissing wind. Sacrifice! Sacrifice! The whole garden quaked. Over a dozen statues turned their heads in unison, eyes locking onto Yenni. No. No way. What is this? Yenni backed away, her heart slamming against her ribs. Then one statue reached out, lumbering toward her. Each step thudded like a hammer on her soul. Yenni didn't hesitate, she spun and ran. The forest behind widened, but it was no ordinary woods anymore. Trees grew thick and twisted, forming a pitch-black corridor. Leaves dripped black liquid, plopping like thin blood into the air. She plunged in, breath ragged. The statue's footsteps chased close, grinding like teeth. At every turn, Yenni veered off, left, right, but no matter which way, the path looped back to the same spot, the clearing where she'd unearthed the girl's grave. In the center, the pit gaped like a monster's maw, and on its edge lay the skeletal body in the dress, long black hair splayed, empty eyes staring skyward, mouth twisted in a grotesque smile, pose unnaturally contorted. Yenni screamed, clutching her head. No, I can't get trapped here. I can't, I won't. She turned to the crippled girl's body. Still there, eyes vacant, half smile frozen. You're messing with me, aren't you? Aren't you? Yenni yelled. You want me to die in your place? No way. That'll never happen. She snatched the knife, lunging again, this time straight for the chest. The blade sank deep. But instead of screams, what burst out was a handful of black ash. It billowed into smoke, snaking through the air, spreading everywhere. The girl didn't vanish. Instead, the whole forest roared. Black ash coated the trees, the ground, Yenni's skin. A voice boomed across the sky. The one who denies the ritual will be the kindling, the catalyst to complete it. Yenni shook uncontrollably. Everything darkened before her eyes. The night split open, revealing the statues marching closer. A stone mouth yawned, wind whistling through gaps, blasting her face with damp earth and metallic blood. Yenni bolted, feet pounding roots. The world spun, but she couldn't stop. Now it was two choices: die or keep running. The farther she fled, the nearer the statue's steps grew, the heavier the pressure on her mind. A stone arm grabbed her shoulder. Yenni howled, stabbing wildly at the statues. The dull knife pierced stone, cracking it wide. A chunk broke off, revealing not rock as she'd thought, but a desiccated human corpse inside, mouth agape in silence, eyes burning with hate. Yenni shrieked, wrenching free and running on. The more she ran, the clearer it became. These weren't pure stone. They were people, real people. Petrified, imprisoned in rough, rigid shells, forever guarding the ritual, ready to awaken at any moment. And if she failed, that would be her fate. Like them, turned to stone, or like the girl, eternally trapped in this cursed mansion. Even an athlete would tire eventually from running so long. Yenni's breaths came in gasps, lungs burning like fire. She tripped suddenly, tumbling onto the damp earth. The knife flew from her hand, steel flashing before vanishing into the deep shadows. Heavy footsteps closed in. She scrambled to rise, but her legs quivered, useless. Before her, the crippled girl appeared, seated in a wheelchair that hadn't been there before. Her eyes blazed like twin infernos, scorching Yenni's mind. The more you resist, the faster it all unfolds, her voice echoed, steady as a command, no longer trembling. You think you can kill me? I've been dead for ages. I'm just a soul held back, waiting for this ritual to finish. Yenni screamed. I'm not a mason. I don't belong in this hell. What gives you the right to take my life? The girl tilted her head, smiling. Then why could you unlock the grave's memories? Why did you see those visions? Why hear our calls? Why touch me? The explorers before, they died from illusions we wove, driving them mad. We turned them into these stone guardians, watching over the ritual, this place. Yenni went rigid. She never imagined it was like this. The ground beneath Yenni's feet suddenly shook hard. The grave's pit gaped open again. From that darkness, hundreds, no thousands, of bony hands shot up, clutching at her clothes, her legs, trying to drag her down into that bottomless hole, dragging her straight into hell. Yenni screamed, her voice hoarse and cracking. Her nails clawed at the dirt until blood seeped from her fingertips, mixing with the mud. But the more she struggled, the more hands rose, their grip tightening around her. A girl stepped forward, eyes gleaming. Stop fighting, Yenni. You've been chosen. You are the chosen one. Accept it. A stone statue emerged from the darkness, eyes glowing red like burning coal. It knelt by the edge of the pit, arms wide open, as if welcoming its new sacrifice. Yenni burst into tears, her fingers desperately digging into the earth, trying to grab onto anything she could. No. I can't die here. I can't become part of this evil. I can't become one of them. In that moment of despair, a final thought flashed through her mind. She could switch places with it. If the ritual needed only one person, maybe she could replace it. Hope flickered in her eyes. Maybe she hadn't lost just yet. Maybe she still had a chance to win. The sound of ritual drums echoed inside her head, though there were no instruments anywhere in this cursed forest. Gasping for air thick with the smell of blood and damp soil, Yenni grabbed at the statue's cold hands. With every ounce of strength she had left, she pulled it down into the pit. All she could do was pray she was right. Just as she'd hoped, the moment the statue hit the bottom, those skeletal hands released her and swarmed over the stone figure instead, dragging it down into the abyss. Free from that pit of death, Yenni didn't care what she looked like anymore. She only cared about getting out alive. She ran, scanning the ground for the knife she'd dropped earlier. Behind her, the sound of cracking stone filled the air. Statues were breaking free from their marble shells, spilling out from every direction. Their hollow eyes stared blankly, yet their steps thundered after her like an army of the dead, tireless, soulless. Yenni screamed and sprinted through the thickets. Every time one of those icy hands brushed her sleeve, her heart nearly stopped. But something was wrong. The deeper she ran, the more twisted the forest became. Trees repeated themselves. Paths looped endlessly. She realized she was trapped in a strange loop, a maze built from blood, hatred, and souls. Falling to her knees, Yenni's hands sank into the mossy ground. Suddenly, visions flooded her mind. She saw Mason, an ancient, cursed bloodline, standing in a lavish room surrounded by hooded figures raising cups filled with dark red blood. In the center, a little girl was tied up, crying soundlessly. Mason pressed a blade to the child's neck, whispering a prayer. One soul for a lifetime of prosperity. One body to forge the gateway of glory. Tears streamed down Yenni's face. That girl, the eyes, the face, looked just like her. It was as if she was staring into another version of herself. A voice echoed inside her head. You are its descendant. You are the next link in the chain. The final Mason. Now, awaken the Mason legacy. She understood. She understood everything now. The Mason family had never disappeared. They were only waiting for another descendant to finish the ritual. And she, whether by chance or fate, had stepped right into their plan, carrying the burden of reviving that cursed bloodline. In the chaos of memory, Yenni glimpsed her name inside a faded family record. Yenni Mason, distant descendant. Before she could make sense of it, the vision dissolved like mist, leaving only terror behind. A cold wind whipped through the clearing, tangling her hair. From the earth rose a stone altar, and upon it, a ritual dagger, old and rusted. Around her, the statues that had been closing in spoke in unison, their cracked mouths groaning. To live, you must find another to take your place. One soul sacrificed for another to survive. Yenni trembled. If she obeyed, she'd have to sacrifice someone else. But who? Who could she possibly condemn in her place? Faces of her friends flashed through her mind. People outside, unaware of the nightmare she was trapped in. They were innocent. If she dragged them into this, she'd be no better than those monsters. The statues closed in. Their empty stares tore into her. If she didn't act, she'd die. But if she did, she'd become a Mason. Then, a voice, real this time, cut through the air. From the shadows, a woman in a black cloak stepped out, her face half hidden, half lit. She smiled, a cold, chilling smile. Yenni, you haven't finished your part yet. You're only one step away. Do you know why you're here? Because it's in your blood. You're not a victim, you're the heir. The treasure you sought. It was Mason's legacy all along. Yenni froze. The truth hit her like lightning. The Mason family still existed, blending into society, hiding behind new identities. And the woman before her, she must have been one of them, waiting for this very moment, waiting for her. Then she saw it, the knife, half buried in the grass. She lunged for it, gripping it tight with trembling hands. This was her last hope. She didn't know if it could save her, but she knew there was no turning back now. If fate decided I was meant for this, she whispered, then I'll choose death myself, and bury this filthy bloodline along with me. She plunged the blade straight into her chest. The drums stopped. But instead of collapsing, her body stiffened, her skin turning pale and stone cold. Yenni screamed, but only a sound like cracking rock escaped her throat. When the first sunlight broke over the forest, a new statue stood in the garden, a girl with tears frozen on her cheeks and a trace of blood on her lips. The cloaked woman stepped closer, gently caressing the statue's face. "So beautiful," she murmured. "Yenni, you truly were a brilliant one. You almost uncovered everything. Such a brave girl. What a pity." In the distance, faint laughter drifted through the air. Soft, eerie, like whispers from wandering souls. The Mason family had never really vanished. They were still here, waiting, patient as hungry ghosts, ready to add another piece to their terrifying collection. And Yenni, she would remain there forever, trapped inside that shell of stone, the most haunting statue in that hellish garden. Her empty eyes gazing into the endless void, where horror never ends. She would become like all the others, motionless, cursed to guard that dreadful place, reliving the same pain again and again. No one would ever know how much she had suffered, her soul shattered into fragments of memory, forced to endure the fate of the sacrificed, the stifled screams, the rivers of blood, the darkness swallowing every last hope. Her sorrow and despair slowly turned to stone, consuming the vibrant spirit of a girl who once brimmed with life, leaving only a hollow echo, like needles pricking the heart of time itself. And in that eternal silence, Yenni swore, if she could turn back time, she'd never let curiosity lead her astray. She'd never leave the warmth of home to chase deadly secrets. She should have run the moment she felt fear whisper in her chest. But now, it was too late. All that remained was the echo of her regret, forever echoing in the eternal dark.